gifted garage C10 build, picking up where we left off. Got some stuff. A longer drive shaft yoke. I got some gaskets. I got some sweet $138 Amazon headers. They actually don't look bad. It says they fit a C10. I got stuff coming for a fuel system, and I'm just swapping out the O2 connectors on this eBay harness, and I've got injector adapters showing up. I think today. I was just gonna use that stock harness and not really thin it out, just have stuff not plugged in. But this already has like a fuse block and like the fuel pump relay, and you know, I was debating using parts off this to make that work, and either way, and I mean, I can always go back to that stock harness if this one is trash. So that's where we're at. Headers, wiring, fuel, reassemble stuff. Yeah. So I got a 2-inch hole here. Gotta feed everything through up till this 2-inch grommet. Talk about a pain in the ass. Pulling all of this through my little hole. Okay. Wouldn't be too bad if you got someone outside, someone inside. But anyways. So I got everything hooked up. I don't know. That's for the mass airflow. These two, I just don't know. I'm still waiting on my injector adapters. Everything else is hooked up, I think. Gotta make a new brake line over here. I thought I'd be smart and do it before the header was on, but now I think it ain't it ain't gonna work. It'll be fine. Yes. Side's a little tight. A little bit of clearance, and I might need like some ceramic 45 plug wires or something. That one, the back two are fine. These middle two are right on the header. Put a little wrap on these guys because yeah, the way that it is. Hope that's enough. Put a hole there so I could zip tie it, and then I realized the zip tie is just gonna melt. Hope that's good enough. Good enough for who it's for. Needed some heat. old, new. I'm hoping that's enough. I had to convert my conversion U-joint. It had some dumb like epoxy filled retainer thing, whatever. I don't even know what size that is. But a 1330 didn't fit, a 1350 didn't fit. I had, I think it's like a S44 or something, a Ford, to a 1310. But the 1310 caps were wrong for the retainer, so I had to swap those out for some other ones, and we just, it should work. And it's in. Close enough. Yeah, that's should be plenty. As long as it doesn't wobble too much, I think we're good. So I've just been out here cranking stuff out. Got the O2s all hooked up, plugged in. The collector's tightened down. Brakes, I gotta bleed the brakes. I went to replace this hose and ended up having to replace this section of the line. I still gotta bleed all that. But it looks like it's gonna rain. I have a mass airflow somewhere off of that I took off when I did the turbo. My package is running late with my injector adapters and all that crap. I gotta figure out where I'm mounting the fuse block and the PCM and everything, and it's probably just gonna end up, I don't know, right in there. But that's probably it for today, unless my my package shows up. Yeah. Bam. Complete $300-ish fuel system. You know, only the best that Amazon has to offer. Evil Energy, like, holler at your boy. 300 pump, some 10 AN, some 6 AN filter, and a tank, which I realistically need to get the bed on to mount it, but I kind of want to plumb the fuel system to make sure this engine runs before I reassemble the whole truck. So we might permanently kind of finagle this all together now. Well, I was on track to have the quickest fuel system ever. To like, you know, I don't measure anything. And I cut the line probably like 10, 12 inches too short. That's all good. It's the return though that wasn't long enough to follow the frame rail. Oops. And I didn't have a 5/16 6AN push lot, just a barbed push lot. So, but it's the return. It should be fine. I gotta wire it up. I gotta do a battery. I gotta connect some of the wiring harness. I got a couple definite vacuum leaks I'm gonna have, but I think we're gonna try and crank it soon. So I got my hot wire. This one comes off the battery. It's gonna go to a fuse block when I get one. That one's my starter wire. And this one's my ignition on to power the PCM. In theory, that's all I should need. I didn't wire the fuel pump yet. I didn't even take VATs off the computer yet. But I looped the transmission lines. I hooked the battery up and it didn't blow up yet. This should start. Starter works. Relay clicks the power on the PCM. Sounds a little down on the hole on compression. But that's alright. The parts should be here already. I got a little switch panel and some fuses, but they ain't here. They never got here before dark. Yeah. Spray that down the intake. And yeah, she'll run. The next day. Been busy. Temporary. But you know, and there's fuel in it, and I got a switch and like a little fuse block and you know, a mass airflow, and was getting ready to fire it up. Went to go delete VATs off the PCM with PCM Hammer and Tuner Pro for free because I'm cheap, and can't find a XDF file for the operating system on this PCM. So I was just gonna change the whole operating system on the PCM, and it won't let me switch from that to do the things. So I'm gonna see if I can get a friend of mine to email me the right bin file with VATs already deleted, or I gotta buy credits and hook up HB tuners. Wah, wah. But just for fun, anyways. It's got fuel in it. It should fire for a second. and then VATS kicks on. So it should run. Well, I bought some credits. So now why'd it stop? All I did was delete VATS. Probably because I'm an idiot and I didn't take care of all my vacuum leaks. See what I can do about that real quick. Can't get these little plugs off Amazon anymore, so you wrap the brake clean cap in electrical tape and just jam it in there. You know. I was getting a map sort of deal. Absolute pressure, too much. So if I clear that, there's no water, still got old oil in it. No gauges, but it's doing things, so it's good. So now I'm confident enough to like reassemble the truck. You know, I wasn't gonna put the front clip back on at, you know, around a motor that doesn't run. So it's time to make the list. What do you always want? Front clip, bed, rad, hoses, I need a belt, I need a battery, tray, because I have it on the opposite side of where it would have been, and I don't want to, you know, zero gauge wire is expensive. I need a shifter, I need trans cooler lines, I gotta change the oil, still has whatever oil in it from being pulled out of whatever truck it was in. Lights, wiring for lights, headlights, tail lights, stop switch, turn signals, everything. It needs floors. That's kind of optional. I gotta bleed the brakes. It's actually not a big list. After the bed's in, I guess I gotta mount the fuel cell. But all those hoses are made, the wiring's done. I just gotta unhook it, put it in the bed, cut a hole, rehook it. Oh, I got the tie rods. That's to get it to, you know, the lights are optional. Everything else, I can drive it. power steering. Because there's this to that stuff. You know, you can tell this wasn't a power steering truck. They put that there. You gotta leave the brakes by yourself. Don't need no kit, no vacuum, nothing. And when you gotta get to your shifter, you just go right through the floor. How many of you do the double wrench? It's dark, but I got a stick. It's not ideal. Gonna have to do better. I'm rushing.
The next day.
We got a stick. So I think we gotta see if it drives. Hope I got brakes. I didn't check the trans fluid. Park. Blocks. It clunked. We got reverse, we kind of got brakes. Neutral. Drive. We heavy on the drive. Man, it gets dark quick. Not enough time in the day. I guess tomorrow I gotta try and get the front clip back on so I can start, you know, cooling system and hook the steering up for good and power steering and all the good stuff. So I'm in the middle of like 7 different projects on this thing. ADD problems. I got a switch going that I can't finish till I put the column back in, but I can't put the column back in until the front clip is on because it goes through the inner fender. I can't put mean, I can, but I don't want to put the front clip on until I finish that power steering, and that power steering hose is in the mail, and it's probably wrong anyways. So I'm washing stuff. I just flipped it a couple times and rolled it over here, and I'm washing that, and I gotta try and get it back on by myself. It's possible, right? But my body mount spots aren't great, so I might have to address that before I try to slap this front clip on. So when you buy the cheap air intake truck kits off Amazon, you get the air box, and it's, you know, decent chunks of metal with vents in them. So we'll just try and put a hole. I mean, it's just trash welded to trash, so it'll have to do. We're gonna ignore that side. So I just folded a chunk of radiator hose in there and shot some self-tappers through it. It's good. One airbox scrap metal battery box with some booger welds and self-tappers. Yeah, the power steering hose I ordered was wrong. So I used the old one that was on the steering box when I got the truck going to whatever pump is on that with an adapter, but it's cracked to hell and I'm sure it's gonna leak, but it fits. So when it leaks, I can take it off and bring it to the place and be like, give me one of these. Don't know what it's for, don't know what it's from, but that's what I need. I got calling back in one of these deals and some wiring for that, and this goes to the column and I don't need it, and this goes to that switch and all kinds of nonsense. And I got the brake switch which doubles as a TCC switch for the torque converter lockup. Just doing stuff and washing parts, and I don't know. good enough for who it's for. That gap looks fine. It's just all a little high. I didn't shim this panel out like I should have. So, front clip is on. Belt is on. Battery tray. Power steering's kind of done. I can't mount the fuel cell till the bed's on. Shifter, I don't have the stuff. Trans lines are looped. Haven't changed the oil. Some of the wiring is done. I need to vent the fuel cell. Forgot that. It came out today. And had a whole bunch of pressure built up in the tank that let me find some leaks in the fuel lines. So I definitely don't have enough stuff done to be driving this thing. It has no cooling system hooked up. It has no shifter. It has no lights. But we're gonna see. I didn't put any power steering fluid in it. Terrible. Just bouncing around. The alignment's terrible.
The next day.
So I did what I always do and walk into AutoZone and go right back the aisle and just pick out a bunch of random radiator hoses that might work, like the upper for a Silverado. So cooling system is done. Had to put a little tube on to get over the upper hose, and there's water in it. I guess now I can see if it leaks and let it run for more than 2 minutes. Make sure everything's doing what it's supposed to do. I just took about like 8 inches out of the straight part of the Silverado hose and jammed the 1 1/4 over the 1.5 inches. See if it leaks. Hopefully this radiator's good. It actually looks like a Mopar radiator. It's got the little Penta star or whatever you call it Actually looks like it would fit my dart perfectly, but I gotta let it run. Because I don't even know if this engine has oil pressure. I assume it does, but my sensor isn't hooked up to this harness and I don't have a mechanical gauge, so. It's a little tight down here, but whatever. I have 0 gauges. I should probably hook up my scanner and check temperatures and shit. I got a little vent tube. So, that's the laptop. That 187. And it's not ticking, so I assume it has oil pressure. Thermostat should open soon. Pretty smooth for a low floor rate. I was told it only had 125,000. Looks like I got a little power steering leak right where that hose is all taped up. Shocker. Just chilling at 194. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. It's not a nice day out to get stuff done. Like crawling under and doing trans lines and mounting the bed and stuff. Just casually trying to make a headlight harness. You get all your wires and you just try to make them nice. stuff and things. Lights. And the good fire. Now that I've spent like a day and a half playing with wiring, and it's still raining, it's a mess. I don't like electrics. Still gotta mount the PCM and the fuse block for the engine somewhere back there, but running lights, regular lights, turn signals, lights, hazards, all the things. I still need to mount the bed, to wire in the tail lights, and mount the fuel cell. Just getting stuff done, but I only get a couple hours, and the weather's terrible, and still waiting on shifter parts so I can get rid of my stick through the rust hole. Starts right up though. Might want to get some gauges. Nah. So, I messed up. I found an old the original floor shifter out of my Cutlass. Just trying to hook that deal up. And this just spins now. It overextended the little shift arm thing and stripped out the shaft. So now I gotta fix that on the inside of the trans. Still gotta weld that. Still gotta remount the fuel cell and do tie rods in the front, and that might be it for this episode of Gifted Garage, where GIF did mess stuff up. If you're watching, appreciate you. Thanks. I'm gonna try and fix this thing up. See ya.